happy Thursday. So come on in, pull up a chair. The Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer. I'm back as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com. How the hell's everybody doing? It is Thursday, December 20th. We are in the heart of the holiday season. Oh, yeah. So hopefully people are in pretty good moods, cheery moods. Fingers crossed. I know the holidays can be very, very depressing for some folks. So hopefully that's not happening to you. If not, by all means, reach out. I'm here to help. I mean, I'm not like Dr. Phil or something, but come on, everybody should be, a little happy around the holidays. But it can be very stressful too. Everybody freaking out about what should they get for gifts for people for, Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and Festivus and so forth. Relax. It's supposed to be a time of year for joy and happiness. Come on. So, anyway, welcome aboard. This is episode 216 of The Daily Dope. Pretty amazing. I think we're going to finish the year with about 221, 22 episodes, somewhere around there. So, do want to point out this is a live stream, although I know a vast majority of people do watch the show after the fact. But if you are watching live, there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the stranger commenters at bay, but I do follow the chat. So if you are watching along, you want to say hello, or you have a question, or you want to get a closer look at something from Coriolis, the Third Horizon corebook from Free League Publishing and Modiphius Entertainment, because I'm going to go do a deep dive and a page through on this tonight. If you have a question about that, or you want to see something a little closer up, by all means, chime in and I will respond. So here's the big question, right? So the title of this game, is it Coriolis or is it Coriolis? Or Coriolis? I don't know. It's a kind of science fiction. I think it's more science fiction than science fantasy, although I keep hearing that it's supposed to be sort of an Arabian Nights in space vibe to the game. So, but, it's a role-playing game, so I guess you can pronounce it however you want, right? So, anyway, got some news today. I gotta admit, I don't have a lot of images for the news today, and I do apologize for that. Kind of heavy on the role-playing game stuff, but it is Thursday. I love looking at role-playing games on Thursdays. I tend to go a little heavier on role-playing game news. But speaking of that, I do have some news pieces today. I know there are people out there who do not like the tabletop gaming news portion of the show. If you are one of those people, please look in the show notes below. And there are timestamps, so you can skip right ahead. You can just pass right over all the tabletop gaming news. Do want to say thank you very much for popping in to watch today. Pretty cool. The Gaming Gang is past 2,800 followers on Twitter, which isn't too shabby, seeing I've never been one to really bop people over the head on social media to try to follow me. And recently just passed 1,200 subscribers on YouTube. Which I know in the great scheme of things, people are like, wow, that's not a whole lot. No, it's not. But you know what? It's important to me, and I really, really appreciate every one of you out there who is a subscriber, who is a follower on Twitter, or if you follow on Facebook, what have you. So much appreciated. So let's jump on into the news, because the Scott Almes design Claim will be returning early next year by way of Deep Water Games, and I've got the dope. The king is dead. What happened? Nobody really knows, but he was found face down in a wine barrel this morning. Guess if you gotta go, there's probably worse ways of going than that. It could have been either foul play or his own thirst that did him in. Regardless, the king is dead without any known heirs, so it's up to the 5 factions of the realm to decide who will be the new king. Will it be you or your opponent? Do you have what it takes to win over the realm's factions? You have to play to find out. Claim is played in 2 distinct phases. In phase 1, each player gets a hand of cards that they use to recruit followers. In phase 2, they use the followers from phase 1 to compete and win over the 5 factions of the realms. Each faction has a special power that affects play, and powers can be different in each phase. At the end of the game, the player who has the majority of followers of a faction wins that faction's vote, and whoever wins the votes of at least 3 factions wins the game, thus taking the crown. Claim is for 2 players, ages 10 and up, plays in around 30 minutes, and will carry an MSRP of $14.99 when it arrives in March of 2019. Pretty sweet. I am not familiar with Deepwater Games. They do have a variety of games out there, and funny enough, they're a Chicago-based company, I'm pretty sure. So I should touch base, see if maybe do a little interview for one of my Talkie Tuesdays, because that's what I'm trying to do from here on out, especially in 2019. Tuesdays have interviews on the shows, because I like doing interviews, and a lot of times I don't get to talk to folks until like Origins or Gen Con, and there's a lot of stuff going on in game companies that's not just during convention season. Anyway, it's a Scott Almes design for Claim, so you know it's going to be good, and a brand new edition will be arriving next March. Pretty cool. Talking about another game that is having a reprint. I believe it's a reprint because I've got the game. Songbirds is returning. Yes, Songbirds is returning to print in February, and I've got the dope from Daily Magic Games. With the rising sun, the songbirds begin to sing. In this magical forest, the loudest songbirds claim the ripest berries and prime nesting spots. As a forest spirit, you help your favorite songbird color, prosper, in secret. Each turn, you'll place 1 songbird with a specific volume into the forest. The volume of each songbird will add to those of the same color in rows and columns. The songbird color with the loudest volume wins the berry token in the respective column or row. At the end of the game, you reveal the last remaining songbird card in your hand. This is your favorite songbird, and you score the points for that songbird color collected in berry tokens and add in the volume of your favored songbird. Player with the most points will win the game. Songbirds is for 1 to 4 players, ages 8 and up, plays in around 30 minutes, and will carry in an MSRP of $20 when it arrives early next year. Gotta say, I reviewed Songbirds. In fact, here it is. Yeah. Can I reach it? There we go. Without having to climb up and jump out of the chair. So, this is Songbirds. But you know what? I know why. It's a specifically English language edition that's going to be coming out. Because this has the Japanese characters on it. Japanese language, of course. If I remember correctly, I think in Japanese it's called something like Bird Fight. But I gave it an 8.4 out of 10. We really, really enjoyed Songbirds. In fact, here's the funny thing. So I'm going over to my brother's house tomorrow. I'm actually bringing Songbirds with, because I might have to do some gaming with some non-board game types. Because tomorrow is my nephew's holiday party. Why? I almost said Halloween. He has a Halloween party all the time. But he's having his annual holiday party. And my sister-in-law, my brother's not going to be there. He's flying. But my sister-in-law is going to be there. And she asked me to kind of come by, because some of the parents she doesn't really know who are swinging by, because it'll be the teens downstairs, the parents upstairs. So yes, so I definitely dig Songbirds. Very, very easy to get into. So if you don't have a copy of this game, by all means, grab one. It's a very, very family-friendly price tag of $20. when it arrives, and I think there's some new wrinkles in it as well. So pretty cool. All right, so as I mentioned, I like covering role-playing games on Thursdays. I like talking about role-playing games, like bringing you some role-playing game news. And the Courts of the Shadow Fae will be arriving from Kobold Press for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons this February, and I've got the dope. The Shadow Fae have arrived and turned the city upside down. Then their ambassador demands that the player characters explain themselves for interfering in a legitimate assassination. I hate when that happens. I hate when people interfere with legitimate assassinations. So begins the Looking Glass adventure that takes 8th to 10th level adventurers into the realm of shadows. This inventive, fully detailed take on courtly combat and sandbox role-playing includes more than 100 NPCs, a map with more than 60 locations of the courts, and more than 40 combat and role-playing encounters. There's even a new status system to track player characters' prestige and new status powers, plus a quick play dueling system to settle courtly disputes. It also features dozens of new monsters. I always love that part. I always love new monsters your players have never seen, including demon lovers and dangerous liaisons. I remember that film. The Dangerous Liaisons, not demon lovers. For those who seek them, jealous rivals, and the King and Queen of Shadows. The sourcebook should clock in around 130 pages because this is already available for Pathfinder. So this has been out for a little bit with Pathfinder, and that sourcebook runs about 130 pages. So probably looking in that same vicinity. It will carry an MSRP of $24.99 when it arrives on February 27th. Sweet. I wish I had some more images to share. I really do. I went and looked at the Kobold Press website, and it didn't seem like the images that they were sharing through some of the articles about the 5th edition Courts of the Shadow Fae was actually artwork from the book itself. It seemed like it was almost kind of like almost like royalty-free artwork in the articles and that. So I didn't want to grab those and share those because I highly doubt that's the artwork that's in the book. But this does sound pretty interesting. Moving right along, we have had a lot of Cubicle 7 entertainment news this week. We really, really have. And of course, last week I got a chance to crack open and take you on a tour of the 4th edition of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. In fact, the core book. And now the PDF is available for the 4th edition Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay starter set. That's right. I've got the dope. It's very little bit of dope. So, the perfect introduction to Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. This box set, now they're talking about the physical box set, includes an introductory scenario designed to teach you how to play, beautiful character portfolios, a guide to the town of Ubixrek, I think it's Ubersreich, and 2 10-sided dice. Of course, like I said, it's for the physical box, but the PDF edition is the perfect introduction with a 48-page adventure book to teach you how to play with an introductory adventure, plus 10 follow-on scenarios and a 64-page guide to Ubersreich, or Ubersreich. I think it's Reek for some strange reason. I don't know why. Anyway, you can still pre-order the box set from Cubicle 7. It carries an MSRP of $24.99, or you can grab the 132-page starter set in PDF from Drive-Thru RPG right now for $14.99. Do want to point out there is an indication on Drive-Thru RPG from Cubicle 7 saying that the handouts aren't included in this yet. That the handouts will be available for this, I think they were saying later this month or early next month. So I thought that was a little bit strange that you don't have the player handouts. See, now this is what I'm not positive about. Is it simply the handouts are already included in the 2 booklets, or are these something special? Because if they were included in the booklets, all you got to do is really print off that page from the PDF. Boom, there's your handout. but I don't know. But I do want to point that out because I don't want somebody to come up and like email me or comment on the video saying, hey, Jeff, you know, I got that starter set over on Drive-Thru RPG and it didn't have handouts. So I'm pointing that out. Just pointing that out. See, that's one of the cool things about when you get things in PDF. There can be changes to it. All you got to do is download an updated file. So just like the new Adventure Edition of Savage Worlds is out. It's in PDF. And Pinnacle Entertainment Group has said that, hey, we're making changes as things go along. That's why you're not going to be able to get a printed copy of the Adventure Edition until next summer, probably coming out of Gen Con is my guess. But I think that's cool. I like getting my hands on stuff as quickly as I possibly can. If there are a few things that need to be changed and the file gets updated, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I'd rather have things earlier and see things get changed as opposed to having to wait forever and then actually still seeing things that get changed. All right, so my final news piece. Sine Nomine, I believe that's how it's pronounced, Sine Nomine Publishing, has unveiled the latest supplement for Stars Without Number. And this new book will tackle, just wait for it, get ready, magic. Here's the dope. Unleash the power of arachnotech and the willful might of eldritch shadows on your Stars Without Number campaign with the Codex of the Black Sun. In this supplement for the award-winning Stars Without Number sci-fi RPG, you'll get all the tools you need to add space magic and interstellar sorcery into your campaign. I just want to sit there and be like, space magic instead of space madness. Advice on how to integrate things smoothly, tables for conjuring up social attitudes toward magic, and help with the practical concerns of adding magic to your gaming table are all provided within. Everything is presented in optional and modular fashion, allowing you to add as little or as much as you wish into your own personal cosmos. Inside this book, you'll get a history of arcane science in the Stars Without Numbers setting for you to embrace or alter as you see fit. Complete rules for spellcasting, sparing readers from needing to have these space magic rules from the laudable deluxe edition of Stars Without Number. This book is completely self-contained and can be used with no more than the free version of the game. A fistful of eldritch classes, including not only the traditional arcanist, but also the shadow-slaying god hunter, the warrior mystic sunblades, the wandering judges known as the Yama Kings. Sounds like a band from the 60s. The channels of party-boosting power, who are the free nexuses, and the specialist magister classes. These body-shifting rectifiers, shadow-summoning pactors, and grizzled frontline war mages all add their own talents to the mix. But that's not all. It's only fair to let the more conventional heroes have a taste of arcane power, so the arcane warrior and arcane expert classes are provided for, and there's campaigns of redolent sorcery. There is lots and lots more. I swear, at Drive-Thru RPG, the list just goes on and on and on. Didn't want to carry on and on and on, only sharing one image for the Codex of the Black Sun. So, be sure to check that out. The Codex of the Black Sun is less system neutral than most Sine Nomine publications, as it's designed to give both GMs and players a 152-page box of new toys to play with and employ in their own Stars Without Number games. Even so, the mechanics and content within should fit well with any other game system that shares a classic, similar OSR engine, as they are compatible with the early editions of TSR's hit fantasy role-playing game. I don't think I need to tell you what that is, right? So, seize it now, bold reader, or bold listener, I guess I'll say. A host of possible heroes and dreadful foes awaits you within this book, with tools to delight both player and GM. Do not let it escape your relentless grasp. You can score the 152-page PDF for $9.99 at Drive-Thru RPG. Pretty nice price. Got to point out, Kevin Crawford's Stars Without Number is super, super popular. It is, it's very cool. It's another one of these OSR I don't want to say like it's a retro clone, because it's basically white box D&D, but science fiction. And I love the fact that a lot of these OSR games, including Stars Without Number, you can get the rulebook for free, absolutely free. You know, you're not getting artwork and things like that. But I do have to point out that Stars Without Number, as far as my understanding is, and I have peeked at it a little bit over the past few years, that the free book is the same exact book, content-wise, as the PDF or physical book you can order. Just the free book doesn't have artwork. It's basically how it works. So anyway, all right, I got one last news piece, but I didn't put anything together for it as far as an image or slide or anything like that. And basically, things have been pretty rough for White Wolf. Pretty rough for White Wolf Publishing for the past few weeks, with the really negative feedback they got regarding some aspects of their Anarch and Camarilla books that came out. Plus, there was some negative feedback before that with Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition, where they seemed, some gamers thought that they were kind of embracing the alt-right with the game. And of course, Paradox Interactive, who owns the property, the Vampire the Masquerade property, decided that, hey, you know what? They were taking it away from White Wolf. They couldn't believe some of the things that were going on behind the scenes. So they said, hey, that's it. You guys are done. We're taking it over. So the World of Darkness website, worldofdarkness.com, as of today, done. All it is a blank black page. And White Wolf had pointed out, actually emailed people who were subscribers to the World of Darkness website, telling them that, hey, today was going to be the end. So, also announced today is Modiphius Entertainment. Chris Birch and the team over at Modiphius are taking over Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. So, I do not... I know there's some announcements with some stuff that's coming early 2019. I think there's 3 or 4 releases for 2019. They were even mentioning stuff that's coming out in 2020. It is not the stuff that I had heard of before. So, I mean, this was all brand new stuff. It wasn't the Chicago source book, which I think is actually coming from Onyx Path, not from White Wolf anyway. But yeah, just a lot of craziness going on. Now, I have to say that Modiphius Entertainment does a pretty nice job. I have had a chance to talk with Chris a few times. I interviewed him at Gen Con. Most of the stuff that I review that's from Modiphius Entertainment, though, is actually coming from Free League Publishing. In fact, it's another one tonight we're looking at, right? But I got to say, Modiphius Entertainment has done pretty well as far as the properties that they've got. Their Conan Adventures in the Age, in an Age Undreamed of, which I have reviewed the core book for in PDF. Very, very cool. They just released John Carter of Mars this week. So they take good care of their properties. So I think, personally, I think Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition is probably in good hands. That being said, it's probably going to get rolled back a little bit as far as some of the grimness of the setting. Now, when I reviewed the core book for V5, I guess we'll say, I found it interesting, but it certainly was not a system that I would run. And I pointed that out. I thought the book was interesting. I thought there were a lot of parts to it that I thought were pretty cool, but there were a lot of aspects of the game and the game setting that I was not super comfortable with. And it, just not my bag of tricks, right? So, I mean, it takes a certain kind of person to actually, to play Vampire the Masquerade, in my opinion. But I mean, people love it. I'm not like saying it's bad, wrong, fun here, folks. Just saying it's just not my bag of tricks. But then again, like I said, I'm the kind of person who I never play an evil character. in role-playing games. I don't run role-playing games for people who have parties, you know, for parties of evil characters either. I don't care if there's a bit of gray, right? I just don't, I don't want evil murder hobos. That's just not what I'm going to run a game of. Sorry. But anyway, I just thought that was kind of cool. Kind of cool that Modiphius is going to take that over. Because for one, I was like, who in the world at Paradox is going to handle this stuff? Paradox does fabulous computer games, although they are getting into board games. We do have Crusader Kings coming, and Europa Universalis is going to be a board game as well, so pretty cool. But I think that's we're looking at next year maybe on those. But anyway, yeah, so pretty cool. So I'm glad to see that Chris Birch and the team over at Modiphius are going to handle it. I wonder if they'll keep like Ken Hite working on it, because to be honest, I don't think Ken Hite had really anything to do with some of the bizarre alt-right sort of stuff. But I don't know. I have no idea. I don't have the inside dope on all of that stuff. All right, so that is it for the news today. So before we start looking into the core book over here, I just wanted to point out what's on the show for the rest of the week, which is just tomorrow, and what's cooking next week on the Daily Dope. So tomorrow, I'm going to be doing an earlier show because, as I mentioned, I have to go over to my brother's house tomorrow. So I'm going to be doing an earlier show. I think I'm going to do the show about 4:30 Central Time, because I do have my cardiovascular rehab tomorrow. And I usually get back from that at around 3:30-ish. So all depends. All depends on how close to being ready to do the show I am when I leave to go to my cardio rehab. Anyway, but what I'm going to be doing is tomorrow is a last-minute gift show. It's a last-minute holiday gift guide. I am going to share some items that you can still snag on Amazon. Of course, you can always check out with your friendly local game stores. I'm going to share just a few games, probably about 10 different games that I think are definitely worth checking out or giving to specific gamers out there. So that's what I'll be doing tomorrow. On Monday's show, I am going to reveal my favorite games of 2018, as well as my favorite game of 2018. So I'm going to share different games in various different genres, tell you which ones were my favorite in those genres, as well as my favorite game of the year. Now, I am not necessarily saying that these are the best games. I haven't played every game out there. I'm just saying they're my favorites, what I really enjoyed, as well as the rest of the gang. So that will be on Monday. That'll also be an earlier show because that'll be Christmas Eve. So that one I'm probably doing at about 2 because I don't have cardiovascular rehab on Christmas Eve. So then, of course, we got Christmas on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I just got some goodies from my friends over at GMT today. So on Wednesday, oh, this is heavy. I am going to unbox and take a first look at Space Core 2025 to 2300 AD. This is a science fiction game. It is designed by John Butterfield. I'm going to show you the back a little bit. Let me see if I can kind of angle this. So yeah, there you go. So you're not getting as much, well, a little too much glare there. So my understanding is the game is played over 3 eras, or that you can play within 3 eras. And there's a different board for each era. So I think that's pretty cool. I thought that's pretty cool. So looks pretty interesting. And it is, I'm telling you, this is really heavy. So I'm guessing that those boards are mounted. So while I'm digging stuff out, might as well share with you what else came from GMT. So the latest expansion for Talon, which is a lot of fun. People should definitely check out Talon if you haven't, especially if you're like, yeah, come on, let's get rid of the glare. Especially if you dig science fiction, like fighter games. It's not, you know, just because it's from GMT doesn't mean it's super complex, right? Really, really cool. This new expansion is not standalone, so you do have to have Talon. It's Talon 1000, and it's supposedly called Talon 1000 because there are 1,000 scenarios inside this box. I do believe there might be some new ships as well. So that came. And then The Dark Sands, which is from Ted Racier. This is the war in North Africa, 1940 to 42. Does look kind of traditional hex encounter, I should say. Yeah, hex encounter. I like saying hex encounter. Some people say hex and shit. But to me, I just always call them counters. So, but this does look pretty interesting. A little Rommel action. I read your book! Something I used to say all the time when I was in high school when we were playing games. And because I had seen Patton umpteen times. And when I would make a move somehow and, you know, I knew what somebody else was going to do, I'd be doing my Patton, I read your book! So it became a kind of a running joke. So anyway, so Space Corps 2025 to 2300 AD. That'll be unboxed on Wednesday's show. On Thursday's show, I'm going to review Forbidden Lands from Free League Publishing and Modiphius Entertainment. I'm going to tell you right now, it's really, really good stuff. So that will be on Thursday's show. Next Friday, I'm not sure. There's a bunch of stuff that is in transit as I speak. So I've got stuff from Starling Games coming. I've got stuff from Stronghold Games coming. I've got stuff from Ulysses North America that's supposed to be on its way. So there's quite a few different things that are supposedly in transit at the moment. So we will find out. So probably next Friday I'll be doing an unboxing of some sort. Okay, so moving right along. I know most people are tuned in because they want to see Coriolis. I don't know. I swear. I think it's Coriolis. I don't know. I'm going to just say Coriolis and then look like an idiot. Anyway, it is from Free League Publishing. I'm going to get all these people's names wrong. Get all these people's names wrong. Better take a sip before I start doing that, too. So I'm going to apologize right up front. It's written by Tomas Herenstam, Niels Carlin, Costa Kostoulis, and Christian Granith. I think I got Christian's name right. Artwork is provided by Christian Granith, Martin Bergstrom, Gustav Eklund, Christian... Well, we already said Christian Granith. That's weird. I don't know why it's being twice. So two? Kind of strange. Magnus Balgren, Tobias Tranel, and Joachim Eriksson. The 388-page hardcover book is available for $49.25 from the Free League Publishing website or in PDF from DriveThruRPG for $24.99. And I do not believe I mentioned this before. When I talk about DriveThruRPG, the Gaming Gang is an affiliate of the One Bookshelf website, so the drive-thru sites. If you are planning on visiting DriveThruRPG, please stop at thegaminggang.com, click on one of our banners, and then if you make a purchase at one of the drive-thru sites, I get a very small portion of that sale. And I say it all the time. Those little dime here, quarter there, all really add up, really helps keep the Gaming Gang around. And most months it pays for our hosting, and our hosting is not cheap. Okay, so let's pop on over to the other camera and take a look. I'm going to pop my reading specs on, and let's take a look at the back. All right, so I am not going to read through all the flavor text here, but Coriolis, The Third Horizon is a science fiction role-playing game from the makers of critically acclaimed Mutant Year Zero, 6-time nominee and winner of a Silver Emmy for Best Rules 2015. Features create your unique player character, including skills, talents, gear, and relationships in mere minutes. Fight fast and furious battles, praying to the icons to overcome your enemies. Build and crew your own spaceship to explore the many star systems of the Third Horizon. Experience thrilling spaceship duels using a game system that puts all player characters at the heart of the action. Take part in the intrigue between powerful factions on the majestic space station Coriolis. Uncover the mysteries of the Third Horizon, a rich tapestry of cultures that have settled the stars. This was an Ennie's Judges Spotlight offering for 2017. So, I believe this core book, this hardcover core book, just came out. I am pretty sure this just came out. Even though the PDF has been out for a while. So let's pop on in here. We're going to page through this because it is 388 or so pages. Let's move this over a little bit so we get everything in there and my mug isn't blocking out a bunch of stuff. Anyway, I was going to say this is 388 pages, so I'm going to just be paging through, make comments about some stuff that I see. I have not opened this up. So one thing I should point out, and I think some people aren't aware of this when they're watching episodes of The Daily Dope. If I do an unboxing or a first look, like for an example here, we're going to page through and take a look. I don't check this stuff out ahead of time. Usually, like if it's a board game, something in a box, I just know some sell sheet info and that's it, because I want everything to kind of be a surprise. I am going to pick this up. Let's see if I put the little Songbirds box here. Will that cut down on some of the glare? A little bit, but not a whole lot. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I'm getting glare that I didn't used to get, and I really haven't moved any of the lights around, so that's kind of odd. All right, so let's see. Is it better without it? Yeah, personally, well, it's about the same. I think I'm going to leave it just like this. All right, so we're going to go into getting into the rules section. Introduction. What is that? A bug? That's a pretty weird looking bug. Cool artwork, though. I like this art. What do you do? I don't know. What do you do? Here's a game in a nutshell. Crew spacecraft, explore the horizon, unravel secrets, plot and scheme on board Coriolis, or Coriolis, whatever it is, the space station. Carry out missions, pray to the icons. So the game in a nutshell. Yes, as I had mentioned a few times leading up to today's show, I understand that this is a bit of a kind of an Arabian Nights in space kind of motif to the game. Central theme is the conflict between old versus new, mysticism and icon worship. Okay. Tools of the game. It's your dice. I'm guessing we're using 6-sided dice like we do in Mutant Year Zero and Tales from the Loop, as well as the really cool Forbidden Lands. Guess we're getting some, looks like we're getting some background here, some backstory, a little bit of fluff. Here we got the characters. So we're going to check out the how to roll up our characters, putting together the group. That's kind of cool. I always like games that talk about when you're rolling up characters, that you're not rolling up your characters in a vacuum, right? A lot of times, like, and it's no knock on Dungeons and Dragons or like Pathfinder, stuff like that. But a lot of times you'll have players, they'll roll up their characters at home and then they show up for a brand new campaign that the game master's running. And, you know, they just say, okay, hey, here's my character I rolled up. Check it out, make sure it's legal. But there's no thought involved of what the group dynamic, right? Are we, you know, me personally, I like to have my gamers roll up their characters all together, because then you can say, oh, okay, well, you know, we're probably going to need a character like this, so I'll play that character. Oh, we're going to need a character like that, so I'll play that character. So I always like when games look at the group dynamic. So we're seeing different types of characters. So we got free traders, we got mercenaries, we got explorers. We got quite a few different kind of like archetypes. So we got explorers, so we got prospectors, we got colonists, we got correspondents reporting news. Is there fake news in the future? There isn't really fake news now, but anyway, moving right along. I'm not getting political. Trailblazers, scientists, pilots, data spider. So then we got agents. So you could be an operative, which is a spy, scout, soldier, artist. Got pilgrims. Then it talks about spaceship debt. As you begin playing, you will not yet entirely own your spacecraft. Yeah, that sounds kind of cool. Patrons and nemesis. The player character, how to create them. Origin, upbringing. Character concept. So it's talking about concept and concepts and sub-concepts. Hit points and mind points. Skills, talents, your icon. Personal problems, relationships, encumbrance. If I remember correctly, there's not like a really crunchy encumbrance system to like Mutant Year Zero. Personally, in my opinion, you can't just completely throw out encumbrance, and I know there are some game masters out here who do. But then again, I'm never like one who's like, oh yeah, do I really want to figure out how many ounces you're carrying? Oh, I'm sorry, you're 3 ounces over your limit. You're encumbered. Kind of strangely enough, almost like a kind of a little bit of a grim dark art style to this. Although I don't think this is really like a grim dark setting. Okay, so we're talking about the different character archetypes. Fugitive, negotiator, operative. I would take a stab that there are probably plenty of folks out there who would like to take kind of a Firefly approach to creating their crews. Got preacher, scientist, ship workers. So far, I am only seeing humans, so I wonder if we have aliens in this or not. Anything's possible. Okay, so what section was this? Was this oh, skills. Okay. Rolling dice. 6 means success. Yep, 6s are successes. Wonder if it's still the same kind of push your luck for your level of success, the art of failing. As far as like a critical, like fumble, a lot of times with the that D6 mechanic, there's no only if you're pushing your luck, and there may not be a push your luck aspect to the design here, but I want to say in Forbidden Lands, there's that pushing your luck, and the only way there's like a critical failure is if you roll ones. If you have ones that you've rolled and you get no 6s after you've pushed your luck, after you're rolling your dice for the second time. I do have to point out, there is kind of an odd chemical smell to this book. I don't know if this is like, this came like right off the presses or something, and then was shipped, because this came in like a plastic bubble wrap bag inside the box. So I'm almost curious if this like came out of the printers and like went right into that plastic bag. Talking about advanced skills. Looks like somebody's bandaging themselves up. Okay, then we go to talents. As a group and a ship crew, you will work as a unit, but your PC is also unique and has capabilities that no one else in the group has. In the game, these abilities are called talents. Talking about group talents, icon talents, general talents, humanite talents, cybernetic implants, bionic sculpts, mystical powers. All right, so there's a transhuman element to this. I figured there probably would be. Okay, so group talents, icon talents, showing, kind of giving a breakdown of the talents themselves. I do want to point out the actual mechanics, the system. that drives games like Mutant Year Zero, Tales from the Loop. It's not real crunchy. I mean, there's heft to it, but pretty easy to wrap your head around and really get going at the table pretty quickly. The problem of clairvoyance. All right, then we get into combat. Got slow actions, normal actions, fast actions, and free actions. So you're going to have an allotment of action points you can utilize each turn. Usually 3 action points. So you got reactions, got movement, sneak attacks, ambushes, melee. You've got defending, quick melee attacks, attacks of opportunity. You've got ranged combat. Of course, you're going to have plenty of ranged combat. How about weapons, stress, damage, critical injuries here. Instant kill, death. So if you suffer a critical injury described as fatal in table 5.6, someone must give you first aid or you will die when the listed time runs out. Instant kill. There are 2 critical injuries in the table, numbers 65 and 66, that simply kill you outright. If you roll one of these 2, the Lady of Tears has come to claim you. Time to make a new PC. All right, so there we go. So this is the chart where you're rolling 2 6-sided dice, and you're using you're going to have 2 different colored 6-sided dice. So one will be the tens, the other will be the single digits. So you end up with 11 to 66 on that. Honestly, I'm surprised there aren't more games that utilize that. I really am. You figure you got 30-sided dice out there, and you don't see a whole lot of games out there utilize 11 to 66 when it's pretty simple. All you need are 2 different colored 6-sided dice. So we got weapons and equipment. Talking about different gear. Everyday items. Unfortunately, I was going to say we don't have a whole lot of images of these different things yet. Well, we do get some clothes showing different clothing styles, and you can see there is a Middle Eastern influence to the clothing here. All right, talking about survival and colonization tools, exos and vehicles. So I guess there's exoskeletons. Stuff for recon and infiltration, weapon gear. Cool. There we go. I was going to say, hopefully we see some weapons, some images of the weapons, because people always want to see, especially when we're talking a science fiction game, they want to see, well, okay, so what do these different weapons look like? So you always got a kick out of Traveler. I had Traveler. Yes, the game where sometimes the most excitement is rolling up a character who ends up dying during the character creation process. But it was like, I remember, now granted, I was in high school. I think I was probably about 13 or so. Somebody was like, what are slug throwers? And it's like, just bullets. It's just a regular gun in space. So we got cybernetics and bionics. Spaceships and star travel. Cool beans. All right, star travel in Third Horizon, traveling between systems, portal jumps, talking about different spacecraft, creating your ship. There we go. One of everybody's favorite things to do in a science fiction role-playing game, one that's of course set in space, is creating their starships. Everybody wants to create their own Firefly, their own Millennium Falcons. All right. Oh, different weapon systems, different features. This is also, if you think about it, with kind of the different modules that it looks like for your spaceship, also gives players something to work for, right? To add new, to be able to purchase new modules for their ship. Okay, so we see a light freighter, we see a gunship, courier ship, salvage ship, Other ships. Corsairs, destroyers, I'm not seeing. Do we have capital ships? That might be covered somewhere down the line. Probably not in this core book. So we got space combat, crew positions. Space combat turns and initiative. Pilot phase. So what we got here? How does this break down? So we get an order phase. It goes engineer phase, pilot phase, sensor phase, attack phase. Talks about small crews and large crews. Ship damage. Cool. We get an example of space combat. That's nice. Oh, that's a cool picture. Like that. All right, the horizon. So here we go. We got the setting. So one thing I have noticed, we have not seen. I'm sure we're going to get to it as we page through towards the back. Don't see anything like really geared towards the GM yet. Everything's pretty much for the players. And I got to be honest, as far as like Mutant Year Zero and Tales from the Loop go, the vast majority in their core books is like player facing. They have pretty small Game Master sections, but the thing is, the Game Master's already reading all the player facing info too. So we got a history of the Horizon. So this is all going to be background stuff. The new era, the Horizon today. Got different factions. Cool. Add a lot of conflict and role playing with different factions. Always love that. Got the Free League. Hey, you mean the publishers? Free League Publishing? They're in space? Huh? Got the Legion. That kind of looks like the Punisher symbol there. The Syndicate. I was going to say it must be like organized crime or something. The Zenithian hegemony. Okay. The Draconites. Church of the Icons. Alam's Temple. Every human is a world of its own. The Order of the Pariah. Nomad Federation. Wow, there's a lot of factions here. All right, and then we get small players. I guess, yeah, maybe if the characters rise enough in power, maybe they can start their own little faction. Okay, going through this stuff here. Looks like we've got some various different random tables there as well. The people of the Horizon. Well, at least we see an alien life form there. The first column, the Starfarers, the Humanites, the Zenithians. So it looks as if the different cultures are all human-based. They might be all offshoots, too. Okay, icons, the 9 icons. So there's kind of a religious aspect to this game. Lady of Tears, must be death. Remember we saw that, well, if you have 2 critical hits, the Lady of Tears has come to claim you. So the Church of the Icons. Faith of the Factions, Faith of the People, Spirits and Myths. Huh. All right, and then Coriolis, the space station. So we're going to get some detail on this. So it looks as if this is kind of, I don't want to say hard science fiction, but it certainly does not come across as science fantasy. I'm sure you've got some space opera elements that come into play, but it's not looking like... this is looking more along the lines of like a Babylon 5 kind of setting. Not that I gotta be honest, I really didn't watch much Babylon 5. But kind of more gritty, more kind of, I guess I would say down to earth, but it's kind of weird to say down to earth when I'm talking about a science fiction role-playing game, but important facts about the station. Now we talk about the system itself. Talking about the different planets. Monolith. Huh, wow. So is each faction kind of headquartered on a planet? Their own individual planets, maybe. There's a lot to this book, I gotta admit. This is pretty cool. Atlas of the Third Horizon. So is this where we're gonna see maybe some creatures? Well, maybe not. Oh, looks like more system info here. Different systems. Oh, here we go. What, we got genies in this? Well, we got beasts. Semi-intelligences. Skavara look like rat men. Beasts of the Horizon. Hey. Not a huge bestiary here. I'm just curious what the Genie are. Constructs. Are we talking about robots here? Could be, yep. Looks like that's what we're looking at there. Spirits, there we go. So there's genies in this. That's kind of wild. The Jinn, Ifrits. Diseases and mind beams. Okay. There we go. Campaign. There we go. Now we get into some Game Master info. And we're already 340 pages in. So this is kind of similar to some of the other Free League publishing books, their core books, where, you know, a lot of the info, as I mentioned before, is player facing, because we've only got what, 48 pages left, and I'm sure we've got some indexes in here, or at least an index in here. The Dark Between the Stars in the Game. Traumatizing events. Could be a little horror aspect to this, maybe. Okay, so we got a little adventure here. The Spice Plaza Bazaar. Do all my shopping there. Oh, so this is pretty short. This is only 4 pages. We got, looks like we got another one. Oh, hey, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool looking map here. Okay, so that was a little bit longer. It looks like this is a cantina focused adventure here. Little space bar action. All right, so now we got some deck plans. I was gonna say the shape of this looks like it's one of those freighters, and yep, right up there shows the freighter. So I guess that's part of the adventure here, or is they just putting this in here? I think they might just be including it. Yep, there we go. So we got deck plans of one of the attack ships. Deck plan for a courier ship. Deck plans for a salvage ship, which looks like it's probably one of the biggest of the bunch. Deck plan for a space station here. Space combat map. Okay, so there must be range bands during space combat. So we got the character sheets. Kind of cool looking character sheet here. I got a spaceship sheet. Got the backers, because yes, this was successfully kickstarted. Then we got our index. And that should be it. Yep, there we go. And then we got a bit of a look at the space station itself, Coriolis, or Coriolis, or however we're going to pronounce that. You know, the space station. And that is what we find when we page through the entire core book of Coriolis, the Third Horizon, from Free League Publishing and Modiphius Entertainment. Yes, pretty sweet. Looks very cool, very interesting, very unique looking game. I love when I see something that kind of has its own kind of vibe to it. But I gotta admit, from the stuff that I've seen from Free League Publishing, their games all have kind of a unique take on things. Even like Forbidden Lands, which is kind of more, I don't want to say it's a traditional fantasy game, but it is a fantasy setting. Has a lot of cool, unique things to it. So, of course, I will have a review in the very near future, probably a couple of weeks. It usually takes me a couple of weeks to read through these. So anyway, that is it for today's show. As I mentioned, tomorrow I will be doing an earlier show, and I am going to be sharing some last-minute ideas for gifts for the holidays for gamers out there. So anyway, I always like to say when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. Oh, by now you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. If you like the show, please give it a thumbs up. If you happen to like the channel, please subscribe. I'll be back tomorrow, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.